Welcome to this video on what I call the spiritual and personal development types. For purposes of our discussion here, there are three types of people who pursue personal development and spiritual development dynamics, just to use those labels to point to a variety of activities. Here are the three types. There's what I call the collector, there's what I call the doer, and there's what I call the transformer. Let's take a detailed look at each of these three types. And by the way, a key point is the three types apply to both what we would call teachers and students. Let's take a look at the collector. The collector goes from book to book, seminar to seminar, audio to audio. The collector goes from video to video, meeting to meeting, person to person, collecting ideas and concepts, comparing, contrasting, and analyzing them endlessly. The collector thinks and talks about those ideas and concepts endlessly. Everything stays at a purely intellectual and theoretical level for the collector. The collector says that they want to change, fix, and improve their life. The collector says that the collecting is all about helping them to change, fix, and improve their life. But if you look closely, what you see is what they really love is the chase, the hunt. What they really love is the collecting itself. Like all collectors, whether they collect coins or comic books or art or whatever it might be, there's a love of collecting itself. What they really love is the feeling that they get as each new piece is added to the collection, each new idea or concept is added to the collection, aha, insights, however you want to language it, as each new piece is examined and looked at repeatedly as it's on display, so to speak. The doer. The doer takes what Tony Robbins used to call massive action. The doer goes from technique to technique, strategy to strategy, person to person, invests tons of time, money, and energy using techniques and strategies to change, fix, and improve their life and or to heal themselves, whether it's a physical dynamic, an emotional dynamic, a past life dynamic, whatever it might be that needs healing. The doer says they want to change, fix, and improve their life. The doer really does want the doing, the action, to work, to actually create the change, the fix, the improvement. But what they love most, if you look really closely, is the hunt for new techniques and strategies. What they love most is the feeling they get from seeking, finding, and applying new techniques and strategies. I want to make a few things very, very clear at this point about what I've said so far. First, there's nothing wrong or bad about collectors or doers. There's no judgment about it whatsoever. I was a collector for a long period in my life. I was a doer for a long period in my life. And on my own journey, as well as the journey of others whose journeys I'm aware of, there are a lot of times where a collector doesn't even know that he or she is a collector. I didn't, as an example. Doesn't know that he or she is a doer. Doesn't know that underneath what's really driving it is this love, this fascination, this passion for new techniques, and the fun and the feelings that come from applying them. There are also a form of doer who just simply, there isn't the passion to just do, and the fun from that. They just haven't yet found the right thing, so to speak, to do, which again was my story. Being a doer, not necessarily really just wanting to do, really wanting to make the changes, but just never finding the thing to do that would really work. And so I just wanted to make that clear. At this point, there's no judgment, and very often there are cycles. Someone's a collector for a while, then they're a doer for a while, or they're simultaneously a collector and a doer, and then ultimately have the opportunity to move into being a transformer. Now, collectors, whether you know you're a collector or you don't, doers, whether you know that you're a doer or you aren't, or there's the passion for the doing, or there's just not finding the right thing, whatever the scenario is, the net of it is, what generally happens for collectors and doers is nothing changes in their life at all. They collect. They say that they want to change, fix, or improve certain things, but none of those things get changed or improved, and there's just the forever collecting, the forever seeking, and nothing changes. Or the doer applies the techniques and nothing changes, or the changes don't last. Or a collector or a doer is able to make one thing change, and I'll illustrate this in a minute, or a couple of things change from the collecting, from the doing. But then even though that one thing gets changed or fixed or improved and goes away as a problem, as a target or whatever, then there's a never-ending assembly line of new things that we want to change, fix, or improve. So even though that one thing was handled, down comes another one. And so the overall quality of life doesn't change, even if one specific detail changes. And so this is often the net of it in the quest for truth with a capital T, in the quest for spiritual development, in the quest for personal development, in the quest to produce specific results, to change, fix, and improve specific things in whatever aspect of life there's the interest in. There's the collecting, there's the doing, there's not the changing. And if there's going to be the changing, if you're going to become a transformer, as you'll see, something's got to change. The transformer. Perhaps after being a collector, perhaps after being a doer, perhaps directly, the transformer ends up actually experiencing and knowing truth. Not temporarily, as a blip, but fully, completely, and permanently. Being a transformer. If truth is the sun, and clouds are what blocks you from experiencing and knowing truth, then to move from being a collector and a doer to a transformer, you must find a way to, metaphorically, poke holes in that cloud cover, poke holes in what's blocking you from experiencing and knowing truth, so that the truth can shine in, which it will do naturally once the cloud cover has been removed or the structural integrity of it has been undermined. I want to illustrate the points that I just made visually here using this illustration, which refers to the unique way that I use what I call the sun and clouds metaphor. Here we have the sun, which represents who you really are, and also represents your ability to experience truth with a capital T, and everything that you truly desire with a capital T. Here, metaphorically, is the cloud cover that blocks you from experiencing the sun of who you are, truth with a capital T. And here is a metaphorical representation which I intentionally made black and white and dark, and even though you can't see it, the implication would be that since the sun has been cut off, it's also cold. This is the representation of how most of us live in what I call phase 1 of the human game, and to one degree or another in phase 2 until enough of the cloud cover is knocked out. So when we talk about doers and we talk about collectors, doers and collectors are running around in this dark, black and white, cold world, doing their collecting, doing their doing, whatever the techniques and the strategies are. And as I mentioned, it is possible that nothing at all changes in here in their daily experience, no matter how much collecting they do, no matter how much doing they do. Or the other possibility is that something will actually appear to change, either in what appears to be the outside world, in what I call the storyline, or something will change internally, be it an emotional change, a physical change, a body change, whatever it is. Something will change in here, but it's still blocked off. The sun of who you really are, the truth, is still blocked off by the cloud cover. And even if details change in here, and those changes last, nothing has happened in the cloud cover. So ultimately, the doing continues in here, the collecting continues in here, and there is no more access to the truth, to the sun, to the rays of the sun. There is no direct experience with a capital E or knowing with a capital K of the truth, because even though a lot of doing and collecting and perhaps some changing has taken place in here, no work was actually done in the cloud cover, so it continues to block a direct experience and knowing of the truth. The way that you become a transformer is by finding a way to actually get into the cloud cover, drill tunnels through it metaphorically, knock out chunks metaphorically, so that the sun of who you really are can shine through. That's how you become a transformer. It is impossible to become a transformer, being a collector or being a doer, if nothing actually gets you into the cloud cover. And some very deep and profound work is done there to knock it out, or at least to knock out big chunks of it. Being a collector can be a blast. It can be a lot of fun. Being a doer can be a blast. It can be a lot of fun. And either of those paths can be traveled in any way for as long as you want. No big deal, no judgment. If there is, however, a serious interest, just to use that language, a serious desire, a passion, whatever language you want to use, to become a transformer, to actually have a direct experience with a capital E and a direct knowing with a capital K of truth, then a different path has to be taken, that's all. You have to find a way, using my metaphor, to do some very deep and profound work in the cloud cover. You have to find a way to knock it out, poke holes as I illustrated, and allow the sun of who you really are, the sun of the truth with capital T's, to shine in. And I discovered a way to do that. Again, after having been a collector for a very long time, having been a doer for a very long time, seeking the way, although I didn't have the language or the metaphor of cloud cover at the time, but seeking a way to become what I now call a transformer. And I found that way. Now, when I found that way, I honestly didn't know if this was just a unique solution for Weird Robert, that couldn't be replicatable, that wouldn't help or support anybody else. I really didn't know. I've had a very unique journey, which you may already be aware of or you may not be. And when I then began to share it and to teach on it and to coach on it, I discovered that it was replicatable, that other people could duplicate what had happened to me in terms of drilling tunnels through the cloud cover, poking holes in the cloud cover, knocking out big chunks of the cloud cover, and being able to ultimately play in the sunshine, which is what I call phase 3 of the human game, and which is then having the direct experience of the truth with capital T's, the direct knowing of truth, and becoming what I've called here in this video segment, being a transformer. If you're brutally honest with yourself now, no games, no lying, no self-deception, brutally honest. Are you a collector or a doer? And how badly do you want to be a transformer?